Stick Sims. Fuck. Shit. Motherfucker.
I think you should have opened with Puff the Magic Dragon instead.
Oh, man. All right, let's reopen. Let me start. No, I'm just kidding. No. That's the first song that came to mind when I thought of magic.
That was beautiful. As soon as it started playing, John looked at me.
Right in your eyes. He had a little twinkle in his eye.
Yes, he did.
Did he mouth the words to you?
Uh-huh. He started serenading me.
Oh, it's magic. Did he whisper under his breath? It's magic. All right.
He whispered when he says, you know.
you know.
Yeah.
Well, obviously we have a guest on the podcast today, and we're going to talk about magic and rabbits and hats and stuff. Not really, but anyways, I'm Oreo.
I'm Q-Stick.
I'm Joker.
He's the Joker. And this is Pig's Pod. You already got an intro music. Let's get right to the important stuff. You know what we're missing right now, Q? That's live on television?
Yeah, I almost considered hey, you want to put back the episode maybe an hour so we can watch it, but then I wanted to be awake.
Oh, well, I've actually got some a live feed here from the show going on.
I know, right? We're missing the Flash.
Yeah. Not the Flash, Evan. We're missing the B-Stick, B-Rizzle.
The B-Rizzle.
The B-Rizzle.
Flash's name is Barry Allen.
Barry Allen?
The Flash's name is Barry Allen, and it's on right now.
Is it?
Yeah.
What's the Flash? See, I don't know. Now you're already going over my head. We haven't even started.
Wait, you don't know what the Flash is? You never saw the old TV show, the comic book, the
Where
Flash?
Where the fuck have you been?
I know what the comic book is.
Okay, there's a new TV show. Season 1, it's called The Flash. It's a crossover with Arrow.
Really? I know about the Arrow. I didn't know they started a specific Flash
series. It's a spin-off of the Arrow called The Flash.
Wow.
And it centers around Barry Allen and his misadventures as a new and upcoming superhero named The Flash.
Huh.
And
is it
they did good? Yeah, it's really good. And right before Christmas, they did a mid-season finale, and tonight's the first episode back.
Oh, is it on CW or whatever?
Yep.
Oh, well, there you go. Free plug to The Flash. That thing's going to blow up now. Everyone's going to be watching The Flash. I don't know. I don't know if The Flash is good enough for his own spin-off. Just my opinion.
The old show.
Well,
sorry.
Oh, there they go. Told you, don't sit on the mic, Q. Get off of it.
I keep forgetting I have headphones on, so I turn to look at Joker, and then I bash my face into the microphone. I'm like, oh, motherfucker.
Why don't you put a mirror right in front of the two of you so you can make eye contact the entire time, just both looking into the mirror?
No, that's on the ceiling.
I'm sprawled out on the couch over here.
Oh.
I'm actually in the pose that's like the caption should be, paint me like one of your French girls. Draw me like one of your French girls.
Oh, John likes painting. He likes painting models.
So, anyway.
Yeah, anyway. I'm not talking about the Arrow no. I was going to play you this live leak real quick that I got from President Obama, State of the Union address, live feed coming in from every channel. It's on whatever, CBS.
Oh, it's everywhere.
Oh, it won't play.
While he's trying to figure out what the fuck he's doing, they're saying that the ratings for this is going to be unbelievably low.
When I'm in the Oval Office, call me President Barack, President Barack, President Barack. And if my critics get an attitude, I tell them to stop, I tell them to stop, I tell them to stop. And if you need that new health care, sign up because it's hot, sign up because it's hot, sign up because it's hot. I'm Commander-in-Chief and I'm 2 terms strong and I've got this health care which has got it going on. I'm the boss man, but y'all...
There you go. That's just a little sneak peek of what's going on live right now on TV. Mr. B. Rizzle.
So, considering that's probably going to either gain us an extra few hundred downloads or cost us a few hundred downloads. So what's the story before we get deeper into Magic? Because I want to bring this up because it was on my mind.
Okay.
That last episode was our highest downloaded episode ever.
Not highest downloaded ever. Highest downloaded in the first 24 hours.
Ever.
Yes. So any episode I've ever put up within the first day, the first 24 hours, that was the fastest to reach that many downloads.
Oh, I wonder if it has anything to do with what I'm doing. Like every time I'm on a website every time I'm on a website that has any type of like comments on it, I'll just go ahead and put pigspod.com in the comment section. Like I don't really care what the subject of the website is. I mean, even if it's YouPorn, like it doesn't fucking matter. Like, I mean, I'm putting it everywhere. I am not fucking joking.
12-year-old murdered by his mother. Go to Pigspod.
Go to pigspod.com.
But I just thought that was really interesting because I think leading up to that the release of that episode, it was like the day or two before.
Yeah.
I was like perusing through the internet, checking news, and doing my daily thing, reading like Google News and whatnot. And I noticed that they had a comment section, so I was like, all right, fuck it. So I just like every time I'll sign in under one of my alternate Facebook accounts and just post pigspod.com and facebook.com/pigspod. And so if it gets banned, it's not going to ban my primary account.
Oh.
So I wonder if that has anything to do with it. And if it is, welcome new listeners. I hope you enjoyed the article that I posted on that was concerning the 12-year-old dying in a car accident. So welcome to the episode.
While we're giving out advice, well, not really, but I'm going to give you some advice. Quit clicking on spam in the comments. Don't do it.
Unless it says pigspod.com.
Okay, if it says Pigspod, go ahead and click. But don't.
I totally did. Like
Zimbabwe Prince does not have any money for you.
No.
Yeah,
but we do.
I totally was spamming Pigspod like everywhere I can think of. Like there was on one of the Warhammer Facebook pages, they were talking about one of the leading Warhammer podcasts were going off the they were going to be stopped recording in April. Like they were just done. Like life is in the way. They need to take a break from recording. And they're like, oh man, I hate the fact that I'm not going to have this to listen to. And I'm like, well, there is facebook.com/pigspod.
But we haven't done a Warhammer episode. Now we have to do one.
Yeah, no, we actually really need to do a Warhammer episode.
I got to listen to Q go on and on about how he paints his models. And
well, at least it's not going on and on and on about how you need to grind through Destiny.
Well, speaking of Destiny.
Oh, motherfucker.
No, we'll save that. They did have an update today, and it's like a whole new game again, and I'm excited. But,
Yeah, nobody cares. Moving on.
We're here to talk about Magic with the Joker himself, So, Mr. Joker, why so serious?
I know, right? So I will preface this by saying that I was a rules official back when I was with Ultimate Cards and Comics out in Miami, Florida, for Magic the Gathering. I have played in several tournaments. I build decks. I win several tournaments.
Wow.
I'm an avid Magic the Gathering player. I've been playing since about Urza's Saga. I don't know if any of your listeners know what that is, but if they play Magic, they definitely know where Urza's Saga, Urza's Legacy, and Urza's Destiny was. Then there was like the Champions of Kamigawa. There was Mirrodin. I played through all of those. Fifth Dawn, Darksteel. I've been playing Magic for 14, 15 years now.
Wow. So the important question, how much money?
How much you got?
How much money have you spent on it?
I would venture to guess it's been in the tens of.
Oh man.
Yeah. It's depressing.
Wow.
I know. It's just like any other hobby, I guess. It's that they call it cardboard crack. I mean, how much money have you spent, Q, on your Dolls.
Oh, don't get him started. It's dolls.
Yeah, no. I play with dolls, according to everybody. Well, in all honesty,
how much do you have in this room right now?
Oh, how much is in this room right now?
I know most of the models belong to.
Yeah, they belong to somebody else because I'm storing them for him. But in this room right now, like actual like retail value, probably about $10,000 or $11,000.
There you go.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's that bad.
It's just like any other hobby, except for the cardboard crack that doesn't take up as much room.
Yeah, I know. I wish I could condense all of my models down to the storage space you have for your Magic deck.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, personally, I've probably spent upwards of $600-700 on my stuff, and I've spent about $300 on the wife's army.
Wow.
I've got a deck in there that's probably worth about $350.
Yeah, and it's sitting on my coffee table in a nice little
bag.
In a nice little Ziploc bag.
Yeah.
For one deck, $350. What type of deck?
This one is a mill deck. It's a blue-black.
Okay.
And the object of the deck is to cause the person to discard and remove from their library as many cards as possible before I die.
Oh.
You start off the game with 20 life and a minimum of 60 cards in your deck. Usually people will play standard with 60 cards in their deck because that's the bare minimum. It gives you a good mana curve. It allows for good synergy between the cards. It allows for good speed.
Yeah.
So my theory is for my deck, I want to get rid of all 60 of your cards in your deck before you can hit me for 20 life points.
Yeah. Would that technically mean the game's over because you can't draw anything?
If they cannot draw anything, they automatically lose the game.
All right. So we might have to get into basics for people that are listening that haven't turned off the podcast yet.
That is... I don't think they were going to turn it off when they heard it's Magic.
Yeah, they turned it off immediately. Yeah, half of them are gone.
Like I said, you should have played Puff the Magic Dragon.
Wait, so you said 20 life, and that's for each person. I've never heard of more than 1v1, but it's always 1v1, isn't it?
No, there are massive multiplayers. You can play 10 versus 10, open world. You can play...
Well, how do you do that? Does each person get 20 health?
Usually when you have more than one person playing, or when you have more than two people playing at any one time, it is a general unspoken rule that people will start off with whatever the mass agrees on. So it could be 40, it could be 50, it could be 60, it could be 100. It doesn't matter at that point in time. The further into the higher numbers you get, the more you're going to want to have as life points, because it's going to get stupid after 5 or 6 people that are playing, because you're going to have gang wars.
Yeah.
I mean, they are running with colors at that point in time, like gang colors.
Yeah.
I mean, you got some that are running black-red, you got some that are running green-white, you got some that are running white-black. I mean, it's just, you got the Crips and the Bloods over there, you got the goblins and the humans over here. I mean...
Uh-huh. Well, let's explain the basic, and then I have a question about group play, because I've never heard of that before.
Sure.
But explain the basics.
So everybody starts off with 20 life in a basic game of Magic. The first person, you roll a dice, a d20 usually, or you cut the cards to see who has the highest mana cost. That person then has the choice to either go first or allow the other person to go first. That makes a big difference because the person that goes first does not draw. You draw 7 cards to start with, so the first person that goes will start off with 7 and lay a land. The second person that goes immediately draws from their deck, so they have 8 cards in their hand at that point in time.
Yeah.
So it's usually a wise. It's like deferring to the second half to receive the kickoff.
Yeah, and normally you want to get down as much land or mana, whatever you end up calling it. You got to lay that down first to do anything, pretty much.
Correct. In order to be able to play a card of Magic, on the top right-hand side of all Magic cards is a mana cost. Usually it is blank, colorless, and whatever color that is required. So if it says 2 colorless and a green, you need to tap 3 mana of that color, or tap 3 mana in order to cast that card. If it's 2 colorless and 1 green, you could tap 3 greens, you can tap 2 reds and a green. Whatever the other two are, they can be any color. As long as you have one green in there to cover that one green mana cost. The colorless can be just any color that you choose, or any color that you can lay a land of. Yeah. Some lands have the ability to play or to tap for 2 different color mana, 3 different color mana. There are lands out there that can do so much.
Yeah. So basically, you do that, and that's your payment for putting down
being
another
able to cast that card.
Yeah.
Correct. So every card, with the exception of lands, counts as a spell. You play a creature, and it counts as a spell. It's a spell card. You play a land, and that is just a land. It comes in for free. You can't counter it. You can't do anything to it. The only thing you can do is either A, destroy it, or B, return it to the person's hand.
Okay.
You can cause them to sacrifice it, and you can do other stuff to it, but the main uses for it is either bouncing it back to their hand or destroying it completely. Red is really good for destroying lands. Blue is really good for bouncing it back to their hands. So depending on what you want to play, there are many different options for colors. So white is used for gaining life and protection. Black is used for reviving the dead and sacrificing your own life to do damage to the other person, causing them to sacrifice their life, causing them to sacrifice their creatures, causing them to do stuff like that. Then you have red, which is for direct damage or really fast goblin or orc creatures, kind of like any other game, I guess, any other like Warhammer or something like that.
Yeah.
You're going to have red creatures that are orcs, goblins, and they're going to be fast. Then you have green. Green is exactly like it would sound. It is extremely fast mana producing. It can grow so fast. By like the 5th turn, you can produce anywhere from 6 to 15 mana, depending on how your deck is built. And the way mana works is you're only allowed to lay 1 land per turn. But in the green world, there are creatures that if you tap them, they automatically give you a mana.
Yeah.
Llanowar Elves, Birds of Paradise, etc., etc. So those are able to give you other forms or other abilities to be able to get more mana. Okay. Then there's also stuff like Rampant Growth and to be able to search your library for a land.
All right. So you take your land, you play that to play a creature. Now, creatures lay out in front of you, and I can't remember. I think it depends on the card, but don't the creatures, they have like their own health, and don't they normally take the damage for you? So instead of taking away your 20 life, they would be dealing damage to your creatures. And then once all your creatures are gone, then they can attack you, right?
Correct. So when you cast a creature card, it goes out in front of you into the battlefield. When it's in the battlefield, it is prone to attack, it is prone to damage. On the bottom right-hand side of the card, there's 2 different numbers with a hyphen in between or a slash in between. So say I cast a creature that's a 2/2. It's a 2 power, 2 toughness. So I have to deal 2 damage to this, or you have to deal 2 damage to that creature in order for you to kill it.
Yeah.
Once a creature has been dealt over its allotted toughness, the general rule is it dies, with the exception of a couple cards based on what the card exactly says. A lot of cards, they'll have specific rules for them. Some of them have Undying, which means that you can kill it, and once it goes to the graveyard, it comes back. Some of them have Indestructible, meaning damage doesn't kill it. You have to remove it from play. Just certain stuff like that. Each card has a different rule variant in it. But if you have a basic 2/2 and you deal him 2 damage, he dies. Once that creature dies and you have nothing else that you could block with, then the damage is directed directly to the player.
Yeah.
Towards his 20 life points.
Okay. So that's the creatures and land and everything. But now, spells and permanents. What's the difference between those two? Is there a difference?
There is and there isn't. So any spell, any card that you play with the exception of land is a spell.
Okay.
A permanent is something that hits the battlefield and stays on the battlefield. The difference between an instant, a sorcery, and a permanent is the instant and sorcery, once they're cast, they immediately go to the graveyard. So it's kind of like it's a permanent is something that hits the battlefield and stays. An enchantment, an artifact, a creature, stuff like that. An equipment, stuff like that. Okay. Then you have instants and sorceries that are immediate. They happen immediately, and whatever is on that card is the effect that happens right at that point in time. Then that card, the spell fizzles, and it goes to the graveyard.
Huh. All right. That makes more sense.
There's other small rules, like sorceries can only be played on your own turn. Instants can be played at any time. Then you go into the stack, so on and so forth.
Yeah, depending on who you're playing with, because you can kind of make your own rules, can't you? Be like, yeah, sure, you can play instants whenever, as long as you have mana available.
Instances, as long as you have mana available, then you can play them. Sorceries, if you have mana available on your own turn, you can play them. Certain sorceries are so powerful that you should not be able to play them on other people's turns.
Yeah.
There's a sorcery called Wrath of God. It's a white card, costs 2 colorless and 2 white mana, and it's a sorcery, and it says destroy all creatures. They can't be regenerated. It's it's a giant middle finger to every creature that you're going to attack with. And the reason it's a sorcery is because that makes it to where if I just bring out 50 creatures during my turn, at the end of my turn, they're not going to be obliterated. They at least have to wait for that next turn to be obliterated.
Yeah.
That means they at least see the light of day a little bit.
Now, Oreo, you used to play, didn't you?
Yes, until all my cards got stolen by a drug addict and probably sold for pennies, which sucks. Ouch. Because I didn't have like $350. Maybe $80.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised.
Well, if I still had them, they would probably, because I did have a red-green deck that's ridiculous goblins and stuff that just builds upon the goblins. And like you said, with green, you just throw mana out there like crazy, and it was ridiculously fast. If I got the right cards, I could win within like 7 turns.
Yeah.
But my favorite deck that they wouldn't even allow you to play at tournaments anymore is called an Infinity deck. If I'm sure you know what that is.
Broodstar.
Yeah.
Yep. Infinity for artifacts, and you played the Brewstar.
Yeah, and you just go bam, 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 good game.
That was back in the Mirrodin block.
Yeah, that was a long... Shoot, I can't remember how many years ago this was. 10
years ago?
Yeah, long time ago. So, yeah, I had all those. I had... Like you said, if I still had them now, they probably would be worth a lot of money, but, I know
Brewstar's worth about $8 right now.
Yeah, see,
just
that's...
that one card is about $8.
Yeah, that's not too bad for a card.
Now I've got in my deck in there. I've got 4 creature cards at $25 a piece.
Wow.
I mean, just for those 4 creature cards, called Consuming Aberration. And that's low end too.
Yeah. While we're talking about crazy cards, we're gonna talk to Q here in a second. He's over there just listening, jotting down notes. He's trying to learn Magic, I think.
Yeah, I'm relatively new to Magic. I think I started about a month ago.
Oh, okay.
And I swore I'd never get into it because as a Warhammer player, you always kind of look down your nose at the Magic players because they're usually sitting in a corner playing with themselves and they're kind of smelly. But
which ones, the Warhammers or the?
No, that's the Magic players.
Oh, okay.
But no,
Wait for it. He's got a really profound statement here in just a second.
No. There's nothing profound about it. There's nothing profound. No, Joker got me into it. Him and a friend of his had been, a mutual friend of ours had been, playing for a while, and I'm always interested in new nerd games. So I was like, all right, show me the basics. So I sat down with him and they showed me the basics, and I played one of their spare decks that they had, and I was like, all right, this is kind of cool. Like this is something that you can play while you're sitting. Like this past Sunday, we were sitting there, we were playing just starter decks while we were watching the playoff games on Sunday. So It's like this is kind of cool for you to kind of sit and chill out and kind of watch TV or just hang out and play cards while other things are going on. Whereas as a Warhammer player, like, all right, we're going to play a game of Warhammer, and it's going to dedicate 3 hours of your day to playing this game. So there's nothing else that's going to be going on, and that's the way it's going to be. Whereas with Magic, the games are 15, 20 minutes long at the most, and you can do other things. You can watch TV, you can have a conversation. Whereas I'm not concerned about where I need to move this model to where, and having to walk around the table. So I think that's one of the things I really like about the game is just kind of, there is a competitive aspect to it, which I do like competitive games, but there's also like a little bit of like, where you can just kind of sit and not be so in depth in playing the game. Whereas with something like Warhammer, that you're standing up, you're moving around a table, you're brooding, you're thinking, and it's a bit more work to it. So he's kind of got me into it, and he's going to be building a deck for me. I think we finally decided either on a black deck or is it black white or black blue? Black blue. So because I kind of like the concept of like raising zombies for the dead, and and having the hordes of zombies. The 1/1 absolutely.
And then once he figured out how to counter stuff, he loved that.
Yeah. But no, the biggest part of it is I really like the concept of being able to bring things back from your discard pile, your graveyard. Like you're gonna put this in your graveyard, and I'm like, that's cool because it'll be back here in like 2 turns, so I don't really care. I kind of like that concept, and I like the undead horde. Basically I want to make a Walking Dead deck or something like that. So I think that's kind of cool. So yeah, I got kind of sucked into it.
Huh. So I will tell any of the listeners out there, and I will tell you that if you have the opportunity, drop $10, $15 or whatever it is, and purchase the Xbox version of the game. If you want to be able to learn how to play Magic immediately, play the Xbox version. You'll go through a tutorial, and actually even the tutorial for the demo. The demo is a tutorial for how to play Magic. Once you get into that game, it teaches you everything you could ever possibly want to know about Magic the Gathering. I will say, don't get the new one. Get the 2014 one. Don't get the 2015 one.
Yeah. Why?
So I'm an avid Magic player. I've been playing now for, like I said, about 14, 15 years. I consider myself relatively intelligent when it comes to the processes of Magic the Gathering. I've fucking stuck. Cannot figure out this challenge or this deck that I'm trying to face.
Yeah.
I've been stuck now. I've been wanting to rage quit this game for about 3 or 4 days now.
Huh. The new 2015?
Yeah. So the way the 2015 one works is it's not like the 2014 or the 2013. 2013 and 2014 have 8 to 10 pre-constructed decks that they give you. It's just like, here, you can go through the campaign with these decks, pick which one you think is going to work best against whatever deck you're playing against. If you go play a blue-black, you could play a green-red and be able to beat its ass. You play the opposites, and that way they work against each other. In Magic 2015, they give you one deck, one pre-constructed deck that you pick when you go through the tutorial. After you go through the tutorial, it basically gives you the deck, and it's like, here, go have fun.
Yeah.
And you go through the rest of the campaign using only that one deck. And
can you not swap in and out any cards at all?
You can swap in and out any cards, but the problem is that you have to either win booster packs, 15 cards apiece, in order to pump up your deck, or B, you have to drop $35 to get the card collection.
Oh, I see what they're doing.
Right. So, and then there are cards you can't get throughout the normal gameplay. You have to purchase premium booster packs. So a lot of Magic players are miffed at Wizards of the Coast for this.
Well, they're making money. They got to make money somehow. Everyone's going to digital and quit buying the freaking physical card. I doubt that. I actually bet physical cards are still flying off the shelves. But
they are, because they haven't. It's so hard. There are certain combos that you can do on the Xbox One. I played Magic Gathering Online, which was a computer program, almost like World of Warcraft. It was kind of like World of Warcraft, except for it was a card game that you play online. And I've played that. I own a deck. I have 100 or so cards in it that I purchased. But there are certain combos that you can do. Like, I had, you played back during that time. Do you remember a card called Lightning Greaves?
It sounds familiar.
It was an equipment that costs 2 to cast, and it costs 0 to put on it, and creatures have haste.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so there was a card called Lightning Greaves, and you could do an infinite life combo using Lightning Greaves and bouncing it back and forth between 2 clerics, sacrificing the cleric and gain life equal to its total. So it was an infinite life combo. You could play it by 5th turn. I could have 1 billion life.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. I ascended into godhood at that point in time. On the Magic the Gathering online game, it was literally click, 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 in order to just be able to have 6 life.
Yeah.
So by the time I would get to where I could cast that combo in the game, I would get a message from the guy going, "Are you going to do this all day?" And I would say, "Yeah, I'm going to do it till I'm about 150 life." And then immediately he would disconnect.
Yeah, I would too.
Like,
yeah, I'd be out of there. You're an asshole.
Exactly. So, but in Magic, in the card game, and owning the cards, having the physical cards in your hand, I can say, I bounce this back and forth 400 billion times between these. Can you do anything about it? No. Good. So these bounce back 400 billion times, and I sacrifice it. I'm at 400 billion life. Just with that one sentence alone, I'm done.
Yeah.
Instead of click, 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 click.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of small intricacies that are missed in the digital game versus having the physical cards.
Yeah, and is there a button to flip the table on the Xbox?
No, but you can put a controller through the TV if you have to.
Yeah, it's not as satisfying when they don't. When you don't see that you made somebody throw a controller through their TV. I mean, I guess it would say they disconnected, but it's still not as good as when you're playing against a kid. I played against a kid, a little fat, chubby kid one time. He didn't he didn't flip the table, but he did put his head in the wall. And we've
already done the Rage Quit episode, so
yeah.
I don't know if they ever re-drywalled that or not, but for years he left his mark at that comic book store where I played at. So I mean, you can't get that through the Xbox version.
Q-Stick has really gotten into the Xbox game, and we played it for 20.
We put 26 hours into the main campaign and beat it.
Just on Friday and Saturday.
And what actually, that being said, as an Xbox 360 video game, like regardless of what the game is about, the fact that they have a 20-plus hour campaign for a $10 video game, that's actually pretty good. I mean, considering
that was just the campaign, that was not the extended campaign.
And that's what, I understand that. Yeah.
Or the extended revenge.
No, the fact that for $10 you can get a game that you've got probably 55 to maybe even 70 to 80 hours worth of gameplay is actually pretty impressive. Huh. Like if you are interested in the game, or you want to, or if you're an avid player of the game, or you're just wanting to get started in the game, as Joker said, it's actually a really good place to start because it does teach you all of the mechanics of the game. But what really got me was the fact that it was taking us so long to go through the campaign because there were a lot of the chapters of the game that we were beating pretty easily, and then then there were a couple that we did get stuck on for a couple of hours, and there was a few that we had to go to the internet and go like, how do we fucking beat this shit?
Huh.
But
and
still,
that's not including the online play as well as just the challenges.
Oh yeah,
there are over 100 challenges on there where they put you in a no-win situation and expect you to win.
Wow.
And that's pretty cool. So for a cheap, and I think it's an arcade game. I don't even think it's a full title. I think it's only got 500 gamer score, whatever the maximum is for arcade titles. I think it's got that. It doesn't have the full 1,000 points or 2,000 points or whatever it is. Yeah, it doesn't have the full achievements.
Huh.
So
because it's also got online play too, where you can go on there and play against other people online, and it's almost like the Magic the Gathering Online that you play on the computer.
Huh.
Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
And it's $10 or $15? What?
10.
10?
It was 10.
$9.99.
Yeah, you're never going to get a nice deck for $10.
No, and you're not going to get that much gameplay out of any of these types of games for $10.
You can spend $50 on Destiny and only play 15, 20 hours worth of the campaign, where you can go on and spend $10 on Magic the Gathering Online or Magic the Gathering Duel of the Planeswalkers and get 70 to 80 hours worth of gameplay and still not be done.
I have 106 hours on Destiny and I'm not done, so.
But that's also because you sit and play the game and touch yourself too.
Yeah.
So I mean,
yeah.
I understand you're playing the game in like 3-minute increments.
Yeah, you're right. I do. I mean, if you looked at the ratio of my actual play time to my play time,
P2P, huh?
Yeah.
How long is that actual campaign?
The campaign of Destiny?
Yeah.
It depends.
Like from start to credits.
Probably 10, 15 hours.
Okay.
If you don't do any of the extra stuff, you just do the plain story missions and that's it. But there's so much extra stuff that, I mean, I don't know.
Well, I mean, another good example is I think when on the opening night of Halo 4, I just played through it on normal. I think I put, I was like 5-6 hours into the campaign.
Well, you and I beat Reach in
6.5 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was legendary co-op, and we beat it by 6 hours.
You're not going to find a $10 game that's going to give you 80 some hours worth of gameplay in a campaign.
No, I was actually really shocked about that. The amount of time for the playthrough for just the generic campaign.
Well, you sold me on it. If you're affiliate marketers, you guys should be making money.
Yeah, so it was good.
Like, how does like the deck trading and like building a deck work on the Xbox version though?
Well, basically, the way it works is you start the campaign with a basic green deck, I think, and what?
Garruk.
Yeah, Garruk is the character that you're playing this deck, and you play a chapter, and each chapter is basically made up of 4 levels, where 3 of them are pre-constructed. They call them encounters. Your opponent plays they play a absolutely broken deck. And they play the exact same way every time. No matter what you do, they will always play the exact same card in the exact same order. Their deck is preset to be a certain thing for each time, and it's up to you to counter it and beat it. And then you beat the first 3. The first 3 levels are like that, and then you play the boss level, if you will, of that chapter. And he plays differently. He plays a legitimate tournament style deck, and you have to beat him. Once you beat him, you get his deck. Now, when you play the encounters, once you win the encounter, whatever deck you're playing, you will, as an achievement or as an award, you will be awarded a card that fits that deck. And if you're playing a green deck, you'll get a green mana deck, a green mana card, or if you're playing a black deck, whatever. And once you complete that level and you beat the boss, you get his deck, and then you move on to the next level. At the beginning of the first level of the second chapter, you have a choice of either choosing the deck you originally started with, or you can play with the last boss's deck, and that's how you progress through the campaign. Is you can as you move further along through the campaign, you get the options of using the decks of all the bosses that you had beat in the past. Now, once you like as I was saying, is once you beat it, the encounter levels, the levels 1, 2, and 3, and you are awarded cards, you can go into another section, in the main menu where it's called the deck manager. You can actually go in and look at every card in each deck that you have unlocked, and you can cycle any of the cards that you've already won by playing the encounter levels, and cycle those cards in, cycle the other cards out, or however you want to set up your deck. And which is actually kind of cool because you can save that. And realistically, you can change that deck, however you want to change it, as the cards that you have unlocked for that deck. So the goal of the game really is to go through the entire campaign playing one deck to unlock all of the cards for that deck, and then start over again and play another, 25 hours and using another deck, and then another 24 hours using another deck.
So it is like Destiny.
It is
There are 30 locked cards per deck.
Yeah, so you're expected to play 30 missions or 30 levels or whatever you want to call them, encounters, if they're called in the game, and play 30 of those and unlock the whole deck, and then start over and do all the other ones. And
so you have to do that before you play online against all the 9-year-old Korean kids that have unlocked every card.
Well, no, I mean, there are a lot of variables involved, the randomization of cards, how they fall, how many mana you pull in the first hand, et cetera, et cetera. So it's very well possible that a pre-con deck that has nothing unlocked can very easily, handily beat a stacked pre-con.
So they're running, like, the game probably pulls, 500, 1,000 cards or something? From that, do they go from that year's set, or like how does that work?
Yeah, it's my understanding the decks that are set for the 2014 version of Magic are the decks that are legal on a tournament level for that year. Because it's my understanding that about every 3 or 4 or 5 years they cycle through, and some of the older sets, like every year they release a deck or they release a new set of cards, and then like they'll go back like 4 years, and the 4-year-old deck will get dropped out of a tournament standing, and they'll just cycle through
and fall into what's called extended.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, and the gameplay is the exact same way, that you're only going to play, you're only going to have available to you as a player cards and decks that are
Type 2 standard.
That are Type 2 standards for that year's set in the actual game, the cardboard cracked version. So I think the Xbox 360 has Magic 2010 all the way up through 2015. So there's actually 5 years worth of decks if you were to go and buy all 5 years worth of the games.
Can you like transfer up your decks and play in like a different online playlist or whatever and use decks from previous years?
No.
Oh, well, see, no, I'm not buying it.
Yeah, it's not like what they used. I don't even know if they still do this anymore. But when they were doing the NCAA football, you could graduate your seniors into Madden football. Yeah, you can't do that. But I mean, still, when you're playing 2014, you've probably got decks from 2011 forward that you can choose from.
Yeah,
a lot of the decks that they're building anyway, as it is, the core sets usually stay the same. So you have Magic 2010, Magic 2011, 2012, and it's a core set. So it's kind of like an anchor set. And the anchor sets usually stay the same. What they do is they cycle out a couple cards here, cycle out a couple cards there, cycle in a couple cards here, cycle in a couple cards there. So a card that was produced back in Urza Saga, or along those lines, could be put into the Magic core set and cycled all the way through to where it is playable now. So some cards that have been around since the dawn of time are still able to be played, like Clone. Clone came out back in beta or revised. I mean, that's second or third set. And Clone is still available to be able to play because it's in Magic 2014 core set.
I gotcha. Huh.
God, I hope our listeners are still awake.
It depends. Depends on how nerdy they are. Some of them might still be here.
I do know we have a few listeners that are Magic players, so I'm sure they're probably, just like us, we're sitting at their desk or at their office, touching themselves, listening to this, like, oh, say mana one more time, say mana one more time, mana. But yeah, I mean, it's actually a lot of it's a good game. It's a fun game, and the fact that they've expanded it for console gaming or PC gaming, and
done a really good job of transferring the card game over to.
They really have, and that's one of the things I really liked about it, was that I could sit, and while we were watching the games last, on Sunday, we were playing Magic, between me and Joker. And then when we realized that the the Patriots had pretty much just, raffle stomped the fucking Colts, and it's just kind of like, I think it was the beginning of the fourth quarter when we realized the game was over, and Joker looked at me and goes, "So, let's play Magic."
Yeah.
So we turned off the game and turned on the Xbox, and we sat there for a couple of hours and worked on the campaign, and it was a lot of fun. And it's one of those games that it does require a lot of thinking. You do have to pay attention to what you're doing, but it doesn't seem as time consuming and soul consuming as games like Warhammer can be. So
that could be argued.
Absolutely. But one of the great things that I like about Magic that you don't have to do in Magic, but you kind of have to do in Warhammer is I don't have to paint Magic cards. I mean, you can.
They're altered cards.
You can do altered cards, and my wife, by the way, does do altered cards. So if you're listening, shameless plug. But it's something that you don't have to do, which makes it really fucking nice.
Yeah, you don't have to prep your army, getting them dressed and painted and
glued together,
baptized, or whatever you do.
Well, considering the army that I play is like super fanatics and they're extremely religious, there's some baptism, there's some holy prayer that has to be done before we play.
Westboro Baptist Church bastards.
Yeah, but essentially that's basically my army is like the Warhammer Westboro.
Do you take like a box of Warhammer models down to the local church and go into confession and be like, "Father, these need to be blessed," and you shake your box?
Yeah, well, the chapter of Chaos Marines that I play, they're called the Word Bearers, and I mean, that kind of explains the mentality of these guys. These guys speak the word of chaos. So, I really want to stand outside the Westboro Church and like preach the teachings of Logar. So yeah.
Someday my army will go up against yours, and it will be an epic battle that will be spoke of the ages.
So Joker, since it sounds like we're going to transition to a Warhammer for a moment. Joker is having me. He's building me a Magic deck, so I'm building him a Warhammer army. That the army that he's playing is completely and totally not tournament legal. Like, it's only legal in friendly games because it's a fan-made codex. The rule set was made by fans of the game probably 10 or 15 years ago, and they're called the Angry Marines. They worship their leader, their Primarch, which is their leader. Their Primarch is essentially Leonidas from 300, and he's a very angry individual. So one of the weapons that they carry is called a power boot. And when you're in close combat, you have what's called initiative steps. And the faster you are, the more intelligent you are, the faster in combat you are to hit somebody. So there are 10 steps to the initiative, and like I said, the faster, more intelligent, the higher your initiative. So at initiative 10, which is the highest, if you are playing as an Angry Marine, you roll a leadership test, which is a 2 dice on your leadership. And if you pass your leadership, you swiftly kick your opponent in the nuts at initiative 10, and they're immediately reduced to initiative 1 and cannot attack.
Wow.
So
they have a weapon called a flying fuck launcher,
which actually launches Angry Marines across the battlefield and immediately launches them into combat. Like, you can shoot one across the entire board and land them in close combat. So it's a completely fan-made codex. Anybody that plays Warhammer has at least heard of the Angry Marines. So now that I have access to the website,
$10,000 worth of figures.
No, that too. Now that I have access to the website, I'm going to be doing some videos that are just basically they are totally not going to be painting tutorials because I'm not a very good painter. But it's going to be like conversations with myself while I'm painting Warhammer. And some of my first models that I have lined up to paint for these videos are going to be the Angry Marines. So you'll get a kick out of them because they're
Angry?
They're angry. They're primarily yellow armor with red trim, and I've got to use some some modeling material where I can kind of change their poses and whatnot, where they'll have middle fingers sticking up and giant banners that they carry into battle that say "fuck you" and stuff like that. So
nice.
Lots of things are going on.
Huh. Well, I think Warhammer and Magic and both of them sound super nerdy, sound dumb until you get into them and you get how to do them, and then you're like, oh, this is fun. I guarantee no matter how unnerdy you are or any person, you could get into either one of them. It's just then the money comes up. So that is cool. They have that Xbox version of Magic, because you can dump so much money into Magic cards. Like
Case in point, there is a Magic card right now going on eBay for $30,000.
Oh, see, I was just going to talk about that one. Let's see if we looked up the same
Lotus?
one. Yep.
Black Lotus.
I think when I was playing, the Black Lotus was a big thing back then. I was going to ask you if you remember about it, but the Black Lotus was the big thing. Everyone wanted it. That's all anyone ever talked about.
Those, the dual lands and the Moxes.
I used to have a couple dual lands too.
Those things are expensive now. They're $200-$300 a piece.
Ah, man. See, I was probably sitting on a gold mine that fucking druggie probably sold. I bet he, for a hit. I bet he's. Oh my God.
Well, why don't
painful to hear that, isn't it?
why don't we back up for a second? Because I totally want to hear the story of how a drug addict stole your Magic cards.
Well, he stole more than just my Magic cards too. I think I had some other cards as well. I've never had very good luck with cards in general. I'll tell you this story. I'll tell you two stories really quick because we're coming up on an hour. But the very first card game I ever got into, which is probably true for a lot of people that are our age now, was Pokemon. And I'm sure you've heard of Pokemon. Everyone's heard of Pokemon. But I played that I was in middle school or whatever. I don't remember how old I was. But there were these older kids that I would go to play with because nobody of my age was interested in Pokemon yet. I don't know. Maybe I was nerdy back then. Or maybe I was too mature for them. That's what it was. But so I was playing with the older kids all the time. Always be over there. And the two older kids ended up somehow tricking me or something. They gave me a couple cards for my whole book of cards. I don't remember what happened. So they got my whole thing of Pokemon, and ever since then I never played Pokemon again. So I got all my Pokemon cards stolen. So then I was like, screw the gaming cards. I'm going to get into sports cards. So I started collecting basketball cards and baseball cards, and I had some legit cards from some rookie Mark McGuire's, and if you know who that is, I don't know how much that card would be worth now, but even back then I think it had some worth. And so I don't know how I met this dude, okay, but this is a different druggie than the one that stole my Magic cards, but somehow some druggie found out that I had basketball and baseball cards and stuff, and
sensing a pattern here.
Somehow he started offering me money to buy my basketball cards and my baseball cards and stuff from me. Okay, I honestly don't know how I met this druggie guy, but I know he was a druggie, and so he'd offer me I don't remember how much, $20 or something for a booklet of whatever, a whole thing of sports cards. I don't know what he did with the sports cards. I assume he knew somebody smarter than me that he probably sold for hits or whatever. So again, some druggie somehow swindles me out of all my cards, so I don't even know if I have any sports cards anymore. I think somehow he got them all, or I sold them all to him. I probably made $30 or $40 or whatever, but I guarantee one of my Mark McGuire cards are probably worth more than that. So I got out of sports cards, got back into Magic because my cousin was into Magic, and he hooked me up with all kinds of stuff right off the bat. And where we went and played Magic, there was this really old, creeper guy. You know exactly who I'm talking about when I say old creeper fat guy.
There's always an old creeper fat guy at every gaming store all the way across the nation. It's just, I think when they open, a gaming store or a hobby store like that.
Yeah, they hire him.
They hire a guy specifically for that. It's like, well, all right, so we got our shipment of Warhammer, we got our shipment of Magic, we've got our shipment of comic books.
Yeah.
Now all we got to do before we open is hire the fat, creepy, scary, smelly guy,
Randall?
and we're good to go.
We need a Randall.
Yeah, we need a Randall.
They're always named Randall, and they got those fucking glasses that you could take off and use to reflect the sun and like melt the table and stuff.
So the gaming shop that I go to buy my Warhammer paint, totally has a Randall. Like it's just so funny. You're sitting here describing. I mean, his name's not Randall, but I just
it is.
You're sitting here describing it, and I'm like, yeah, and he always wants to talk, and you can't get away from him.
They talk so much, like, because they're so lonely, and they're just like, oh, he's talking to me. There's somebody talking to me. Only my mom talks to me. Oh, Randall. Yeah, every gaming store has a Randall. But anyways, Randall had a suitcase of, I don't know, 50,000 Magic. Like, imagine a big rolling suitcase completely full of cards. How many cards is that? I don't know, 100,000, something like that. Of like literally, like, I swear he didn't even have any doubles. I swear he had like every freaking card that was in existence. Like he had dual lands. I think he had some tri-lands. I can't remember. I don't remember if he had a Black Lotus. I want to say that he had 2 of them, but I can't remember for positive. He had like everything you could ever think of. And he, like, you know, you just talk to Randall. You talk to the Randall for a second, he's going to hook you up. You know, whatever you need. You're into first edition Batman, whatever, talk to Randall. So I talked to Randall and he hooked me up with some cards. So I had like some sweet decks back in the day. Like we were talking earlier, I don't know how much they'd be worth now, but anyways, my mom, you know, fell for some druggie, and apparently he needed the cards more than I did.
Ouch.
So like one day I just came home and like my closet was open. I was like, whoa, what's going on? And I start looking in there. And I'm looking through my books. I not only had cards, I also had coin collections that I started with my grandpa, where I had every state coin and all 3 mints. There's 3 mints. A lot of people think there's 2, but there's 3. All 3 mints of every state quarter. I had a bunch of pennies. I think my oldest penny I had was like a 1909. I had 1919s. Like I had tons of coins, probably worth a lot of money. And like, he didn't take my pennies, but he took everything else. All my state quarters were gone, and he probably he probably used them as quarters. That's the like worst thing.
I was gonna say they're just pennies to him.
Yeah, to him they're just pennies, and the same with the quarters. They're just quarters. I guarantee he used them to buy a gumball or something. You know, it's the same with the Magic cards. To him, he probably sold them for, I don't know, $20 to somebody that was like, oh sure, I'll take those.
So I totally feel for you. I kind of want to drive across the country right now and just come give you a hug.
Yeah, I'm all right. I got Destiny. He can't take my Destiny.
So there was a guy on YouTube that sells, or he gives away alpha commons. And what he does is he purchases pre-constructed alpha decks for, you know, quite a bit of money. But he keeps the rares and the uncommons that come out of the decks. So the decks were completely randomized back then. They were like starter decks. And he has a YouTube video, and his latest YouTube video is him opening up a sealed alpha deck. I showed this to Q-Stick about 2 weeks ago. And when he opens it, he goes through it, and he's like, all right, this is this card, this is this card, this is this card. And then he gets all the way down, and he finds a dual land, and he starts shaking. And I mean, like, you can see his hands. He's wearing latex gloves. He's got it on the white sheet. I mean, he's to the nines, right?
Yeah.
And he starts shaking. Then he looks at the next card, and it is a mint condition, untouched by human hands, Alpha Black Lotus.
What? No.
Immediately.
It looks like he has Parkinson's by this point.
Yes.
No fucking way.
It really does. Oh my God. It really does.
He totally went Michael J. Fox.
Yeah. He pulls the full Michael J. Fox, starts shaking, starts screaming, tells everybody, go upstairs, get the card protectors. I don't care what the fuck you're doing right now. You need to stop whatever you're doing. You need to go upstairs, get me this damn card protector. and they immediately shipped it off to have a CGC graded. It is the only 10.0 CGC graded alpha, or only 10.0 CGC graded Black Lotus, period.
Wow.
In existence.
That's worth like $100,000.
It's on eBay right now, I think, for $30,000.
Wow.
And because Black Lotus was printed in 3 different sets: Alpha, Beta, Revised. And this is a first edition Alpha set, mint condition, 10.0 graded CGC Black Lotus.
Wow. That's crazy.
It is beautiful.
Oh.
The dual land's worth probably $3 or $4,000 alone, but the Alpha Black Lotus, it's asinine.
It's stupid.
Yeah.
Huh.
There's actually a rumor that has been going around for years that the creator of Magic has actually been secretly purchasing
All
Black
the Black
Lotuses.
Lotuses.
Right. And so he can drive up the prices up. And
how does that benefit him, though?
Well, before we get to that, I actually have a genuine question. What does the Black Lotus actually do?
All right, so it costs 0 mana to come in.
Yeah. And it adds 3 mana of any color of your choice to your mana pool. And then you discard your Black Lotus.
That's it?
That's it. It
doesn't sound that good, but...
It is the quintessential card. It is the quintessential card in a first turn kill deck.
Yeah.
Wow.
You will not draw a card. First turn, you are dead.
And it can be yours for the low price of $30,000.
Yeah. So if you had a proper setup deck with a few Black Lotuses in there, I mean,
4 Black Lotuses, a channel, and a fireball.
Yeah, you're never going to lose. You win.
Yeah. Yeah, it comes down to a coin flip. Are you going to draw first, or are you going to play first?
Wow, that's a thing.
Shake my hand.
Yeah.
I deal you 25 damage first turn.
And I'm pretty sure, I'm not positive, I don't think Black Lotus has ever been banned. I'm pretty sure you can just use it in any tournament.
It is not banned, I don't think, unless they changed it since I've been playing. Since I was a rules official. It has not been banned. It has been limited to 1 per deck.
Oh, come on.
Trust me, I know. But the reason being is because it's that first turn kill.
Wow.
Well, I think it's also a little bit more than that. I think it's also one of those things where it's very prevalent in Warhammer, and they're fixing it. Is the deepest pockets wins the game?
I can actually tell you that is not the case with Wizards of the Coast.
No, I mean I get that, because I took that fucking $20 starter deck of Necros, and I have managed to beat your $300 deck twice, and I did. I genuinely did beat it because the deck that I was using, it was
there are certain cards in there that I can't do anything to.
Yeah, and it's a white deck, and it's just I'm going to deal as much damage to you as I can in the first 3 turns, where he has, his deck cannot beat you, and until the 6th or 7th turn. And then at that point, you're dead because you're out of cards. But the way that starter deck was set up, that, if you get a good draw within 3 turns, I can deal, 25 to 30 damage, and he can't make me discard cards fast enough for me to kill, for him to survive.
Not only that, you've also got a card that for 3 mana, you shuffle your graveyard back into your library.
The Elixir of Life.
Yes, and you run fucking 2 of them.
You damn Skippy.
Yeah. But the Wizards of the Coast, and they're really good at this, so they will look at the most prevalent combos of the time, and they will ban a single card to cause that combo to be another.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
Yeah. So have you
I can't believe that alpha for 30,000 though. I was all proud that when I looked up on eBay, I found a beta Black Lotus for 17,000.
Yeah, that's small potatoes.
Yeah, you'll have to go to YouTube and YouTube that alpha Black Lotus.
I'm sorry?
Is it Randall opening up the deck?
I think it was, because he did have fat fingers.
But he goes full on Michael J. Fox. I mean,
Does he start? Does he start screaming, "Mom, Mom, get in here"?
Close to it, yeah.
But I mean, in all honesty, I mean, none of us here can say that if we're opening up a starter pack and this card is in there, that you're not going to just fucking like.
I think.
Yeah, I'd be excited for $30,000. I'm not gonna. I'm not gonna keep it for my deck. Honestly, I don't think it's that good of a card. I could easily put together a better deck without a Black Lotus in it.
No, but when you see that card, you see, oh, my car is paid off now.
Yeah.
I think it's one of those things like the Nike Back to the Future ones that they're selling for like, I can't remember. I think they said $1,500 or something. They're honestly not that cool. It's not that great, but it's the whole idea of it being worth something. That they say it's worth something. This
is the year. This is the year we're all supposed to be having hoverboards and self-shoelacing shoes.
Yeah, and I'm supposed to wear a colander, a fucking spaghetti colander on my head or something too. So.
Yeah. This is the year. We're supposed to have, what, Jaws 32 now?
Yeah, we're supposed to have Jaws 32 by 2015, according to Back to the Future.
I just want hover cars. I don't care about...
I really want the hoverboard. Like that sounds fun.
That sounds dangerous.
So, on a side note, have you gotten around to watching the Hockumentary yet?
I was just going to talk about that. Have you watched it yet? Because I did this last weekend.
Did you really? All right, we can't talk about it because I'm gonna have to watch it.
Oh, yeah.
Joker, have you watched it yet?
The what?
The Stephen Hawkins documentary?
Oh, no.
The Theory of Everything. It's not a documentary.
I haven't, but I don't know.
But all right, so I'm gonna have to watch it this weekend, and then we can talk about it on the next episode.
I can't wait. I'll tell you what, I had to look up some stuff that I didn't know. That I'm actually surprised I learned about them from the movie, kind of from the movie, and kind of from looking up stuff on Google as I'm watching the movie.
Now, there was an article floating around by, I'm trying to remember the name of the
Pigspot?
No, it wasn't Pigspot, unfortunately. But it was like Slate magazine or one of those style. I mean, it wasn't a parody. It was a legitimate article that was talking about, how Hollywood kind of frowns on, a white person playing a black person role and stuff like that. That, if you can't play a black guy as a white guy, how can a normal person play a cripple?
Oh my God! Come on, dude. He played that shit perfect.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be a good movie.
But was good.
If that's the case, didn't Leonardo DiCaprio play a retarded person at one point in time? And
what's eating Gilbert Grape was DiCaprio's.
Yeah, and he still doesn't have an Oscar.
He's never going to get one.
Man, that's harsh.
Shots fired.
Shots fired. Fuck that. That's harsh. I like DiCaprio despite his. Was it Wolf of Wall Street that he did?
Yeah. Oh, that was good.
Oh my God, that was good. So.
All right, so you need to watch it. You need to get. I mean, that's our New Year's resolution. You haven't done it yet.
I know. I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it. I'll watch it. I will promise you, I will watch it this week.
All right, it's way good. You'll. I think you'll like Stephen Hawking even more than you did, because I do.
Yeah, I love Stephen Hawking. So
because at the first of the movie, when he was talking about his one theory, I was like, oh man, it sucks because I don't really agree with that. Like I even understand what he's talking about.
I guess we kind of have to initiate Joker here. It's a Pig's Pod tradition that we spend every episode, 2, 3, 4 minutes an episode. We have to talk about Stephen Hawking.
Yep.
So we're in episode 12, 13, 14, something like that? 14. This is episode 14. So 14 consecutive episodes where we spend a few minutes talking about Stephen Hawking. You do like Stephen Hawking, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Okay, good. So you can be on the show. Oh, man,
we don't have to re-record the show
without him.
Start editing.
What's your favorite thing about the Hawk?
Who?
Yeah, not you, Q. I'm talking to Joker.
Fuck you.
As weird as it sounds, I really like the technology that allows him to be able to speak.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you like his voice.
It's awkward, I know.
You like his computer voice.
It's awkward, I know.
Okay, so Joker likes his sexy computer voice. What do you like?
No, Q? Well, no, it's not that. So there's a YouTube video, and there's a video of David Blaine, who does a magic trick for Stephen Hawking.
Yeah.
And as he does the magic trick of Stephen Hawking, it zooms out and it shows over the right shoulder of Stephen Hawking, and it shows how his computer screen is working in order to be able to create the words that he's saying. There's little drop-down windows. There are little drop-down menus. From where he's looking, it will drop down a menu, and then it will immediately move over to another menu, and then immediately move over to another menu and select the word.
Yeah.
So the technology to be able to allow him to be able to speak is something that I think is amazing, because he's a brilliant man, but is completely incapable of anything on his own.
Yeah. I think
for him
you should
to be
watch
able
the
to still have,
documentary.
for him to still be able to have the ability to communicate is just.
We'll sit down.
Well,
we'll
did
sit
you
down
know
this
that his
weekend.
book, he wrote his book using that machine? That's how he typed it out. He used the machine using the menu and shit, and it input it into a computer, input it in, and it printed it out like that. But he used that to type up his book.
I think I've said this before, that if you can get past the preface of the book, you're way better than I am, because I have attempted to read his book because it's Stephen Hawking, so I got to, I love Stephen Hawking. Excuse me, but I guess, as my favorite thing that I like about Stephen Hawking is, his mind works on a level that I can't believe that the human mind can work on that level, because he is unbelievably intelligent.
Yeah.
And it's a absolute terrible, bitter irony that he is as intelligent as he is, and he is trapped in a body that just doesn't work.
Yeah.
The most brilliant mind. I mean, you can compare him to the minds of Aristotle and Leonardo and all of the Ninja Turtles, and no, that's horrible. But you compare him to all of the great minds, Einstein, all of them, and
Whoa.
It's just.
Hang on.
What?
Okay. I have a confession to make.
Okay.
As much as I love the Hawk, I'm sorry, but Einstein is on a whole nother level. E equals MC squared. When you actually look into and understand what that equation is.
Oh, it'll
a game changer.
Yeah, it changes everything. But I mean, now granted, I understand that if it wasn't for that simple equation, energy equals mass times the speed of light squared, if it wasn't for that equation, you wouldn't have the mind,
you wouldn't even hardly know
you wouldn't know who Stephen Hawking was.
Yeah.
And I understand that, but you have to admit that,
well, he's
Stephen
the smartest
Hawking,
one since Einstein, for sure.
Oh, he's absolutely he's the smartest one since then. But when you talk about the great thinkers of our race as humans, you put Stephen Hawking, Albert Einstein.
You mean species?
Or species, race, whatever. That's why I'm not Stephen Hawking.
They are white, but that's not the point.
But you take Plato, Aristotle, Einstein, Stephen Hawking.
Q, what are you doing with that sheet?
What sheet? Oh, fuck you. That's harsh. Oh, that's harsh. I'm sorry, this room stinks of,
he's putting it on as he's talking about all, all the greatest white intelligent.
The greatest people of our race.
Yeah, or of our species. Excuse me. Fuck the both of you. Goddamn. Here I've been quiet, letting y'all have a conversation.
I can see him wearing his hood with his.
I know the accent is there, but fuck the both of you. But all of these great minds of our of humanity, you have to put Stephen Hawking right there with it, because
top 5.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, easily. And he's one of the greatest thinkers of ever.
Yeah.
Not the, but one of the greatest thinkers.
I will say that my favorite one of all time, though, I mean, yes, Stephen Hawking is epic. I will say that my favorite one, though, is Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Neil deGrasse Tyson
he's
a pimp. And the other one that I really, really like is
Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Okay, well, his father lives
like 6 miles from where we're sitting right now.
Yeah, it's not far. It's
Bill
like
Nye?
maybe 10. Yeah, Bill Nye's father lives like 10 miles from here, and Bill Nye is a regular here in this itty bitty tiny town.
Oh man, you're that close to Bill? Shit.
Yeah. What was fucking cool was my wife used to work at the pharmacy here in town, and the Bill Nye came in and picked up medications for his dad.
Wow.
Both of them, they're Bill Nye is actually William Nye Jr.
Wow. When they called out his prescription was ready, were they like, Bill?
Well, no. See, what was funny is this random guy walks up to
William Nye, the science guy.
Well, what was funny was, Heather, the guy comes up to the counter and my wife is kind of there, just not really paying attention to the next person in line kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm here to pick up the prescription for William Nye. And, she didn't think anything about it. And she's like, okay, well, I need to see your driver's license. And he hands her his driver's license. And then she's looking at the picture on the driver's license. And then she looks up at the guy and she's like, he looks at me and goes, you hear the theme song in your head, don't you? And she's like, oh my God. And so he gets the prescription for his dad and leaves, and my phone blows up. And I answer it, and she goes, you'll never guess who was in the store. And I'm like, who? And she goes, Bill Nye. I'm like, who? Because it didn't click at first. And she goes, Bill Nye. And I was like, the science guy? And she's like, yeah, he was in here. So she had a picture, and I couldn't get it pulled off her old piece of shit phone of a selfie with her and Bill Nye.
Oh man!
And it's just like, yeah, she got to actually meet Bill Nye. But my favorite thinker of this generation, not necessarily of our entire species.
Say it.
Is I like Richard Dawkins.
Oh,
he's he's a former Catholic devout atheist, and he will tell you why you're stupid.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons why I like him, because he will just look at you and like,
problem?
yeah,
why
like,
are you stupid?
He's like, what's wrong with you?
That was the one. He was the guy that did the artery from the larynx to the brain that goes around your heart.
Yeah. He explains to you why. It was a giraffe.
Giraffe.
Yeah, he dissected a giraffe to show that this is creationism is totally a myth.
Yeah. There's nobody in their right fucking mind would put a cord going from, or an artery going from your brain to your larynx or your voice box around the heart.
So, but that's enough politics and political stuff there.
Yeah. Anyways,
but
Stephen Hawking's awesome.
Stephen Hawking is awesome.
Gotta watch the movie. Even if you don't like the Hawk, watch it and then you'll like the Hawk.
I think I'll have Joker come down this weekend and we'll sit and watch it.
Yeah, I think I might.
Yeah, because I'd like to see it soon.
Yeah, I think if you don't know that much about the Hawk, or like, I think like it might be like a sad movie, possibly.
Well, I mean, it really is. I mean, it's going to be a sad movie, but that's totally fine. So
it's like the Passion of the Christ. We know the outcome.
That was one of my worst movie experiences.
I've never seen it. I don't have the time.
We know the outcome.
Well, no, that's kind of what happened. Me and a girl I was dating, we went to see the movie when it came out, and we were sitting there in the theater, and they were doing it was the crucifixion scene.
And you were yawning?
No, I was just kind of just sitting there watching the movie because I'm used to violent movies. So granted, the storyline, the story itself is a sad story, but you understand that I've seen violent movies that doesn't affect me.
So you're watching it plain-faced, right?
Yeah, totally plain-faced. And this woman is sitting next to me, just like bawling her eyes out, and I just kind of glance over at her because she's like blowing her nose, and she looks at me. She goes, why aren't you crying? This is a terribly sad story. And I'm like, I read the book.
It's not as good as the book. Oh, shit.
So, but still, anyway, I think that's an episode right there.
Yeah. All right. I'm Oreo.
I'm Q-Stick.
I'm Joker.
Clear your history.
Clear your history.
I got my black backpack and I'm ready to roll with my crew. Everybody, yeah, it's out of control. Got an itch, I'ma scratch it. It's gonna be tragic. I got a big old hankerin' for playing some magic. So I'm busting out my cards, gonna make me some decks. You gonna pack them full of spells? Baby, what you expect? Got my dice, got my sleeves, got my life count meter. You talk to any girls today? No. Me neither, I'm a planeswalker. Oh, a master of sorcery, lightning bolt to the dome. If you ever come close to me, try me in a battle and I won't be worse. You're messing with the baddest mother in the multiverse. Mono red, mono black, blue control, stop it greedy. Gonna take it down, my strategy's white weenie. Capping on my mana, I pay to entwine. You never seen a mystic wizard cast a spell sweet as mine. But I only tap planes, ain't nobody can touch. I like white weenie so much, they call me Jerry Sandusky.
You fellas wanna play this other game? The cards are slightly smaller, I can grab it.
Nah, son, we playin' magic. Up at work, man, I'm clamoring. When I'm speaking in my sleep and when I'm stammering. When I'm thinking in the singing, when I'm lathering. All I'm thinking about is play Magic the Gathering. Starting up a new game, I'ma roll my D20. Gonna play first, oh yeah, it's gonna be funny. Draw 7 cards and I look in my hand. I'm like a Palestinian, I ain't got no land. Peel 6 cards, hand looks alright. Look at Carl Icon, looking for a proxy fight.
What, I can't use proxy?
No, you can't.
Well, why can't I?
Because unlike the state of Georgia, you ain't got a Savannah. Rampant growth, dropping land like a fool. Accelerating in the trees like I saw a bayou. Because my deck's straight features, big fat creatures. Turn them sideways and then I'm gon' feature. What you playing,
Fraggle Cats?
That deck's looking stupid. Call it kitty litter, all you're doing is stupid. Switching the fish, you's about to get bent.
I thought you only played White Remy.
Yeah, but it's Lent. Looking to buy what they got, I'll be your man. I'm your one-stop shop when it comes to contraband. Collectible foils, best check on your eyelids. So many $10 cards, you think that this was papyrus.
Got any standard rares?
This a quality good look. So much type 2, it's like a Paula Deen cookbook.
I don't see any counter spells.
My supplies are scary. Need so much permission, man, you think I was married. Attack phase, I'm using the stack in. Go 187 all up on your dragon. Attacking.
Wait, how'd that dude get bigger?
You're like Plaxico Burress, you don't understand triggers. Think I'll be defeated, better check your sobriety. Only thing that I ain't beating is my social anxiety. Drop a Sarah Angel and I'm moving fast. Tap my man, or do not tap.
Alright, that's Vigilant. Sorry.
Up at work, man, I'm clamoring. When I'm speaking in my sleep and when I'm stammering. When I'm thinking in the sinking, when I'm lathering. All I'm thinking